ನಿಮ್ಮ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಹರ್ತಿಗೆ ಸ್ಪರ್ಶಗಳು. Friends, today for me a very important day. Why it is important? Because I was sitting by the side of Dr. Sri Sri Shivakumar Swamiji, President of Sri Siddhaganga Society, and also my close respected friend and Justice M.N. Venkatachalaya. And I greet Sri Sri Siddhalinga Swamiji and the directors of Dr. M.N. Channapasavappa and Principal Dr. Shivakumar Ayya, all the dignitaries, guests, and my dear students and faculty members. Friends, it is I am in an environment. I am from Rameshwaram, a Shiva a temple famous there for centuries. Throughout the country, people visit Rameshwaram. And that Rameshwaram, there's a small street. It's called Mars Street. In the Mars Street, a very hard-working, a respectable person for the whole Rameshwaram. That was my father, and he lived 103 years, and with my mother 93 years. Now, if you ask me, dear young fellows, you are all young chaps and young girls. If you ask me, what did I learn? You're 103 years old father and 93 years mother. What did you learn? One thing I learned. This planet Earth, whether you like it or not, for billions of years it will orbit around the sun. But human beings are unique. Human beings are unique. I saw a unique human being and revered Sri Sri Shivakumar Swamiji today. My father, mother told me, at no time you give up the hope. Believe in God, you will achieve everything. This is the message. Now friends, today morning, you know your Tumkur is 1.5 hours travel by road. So I started from Raj Bhavan morning around 10 o'clock to reach here 11:30 and see Sri Sri Shivakumar Swamiji. When I was traveling, a great institution came in between. That institution, Indian Institute of Science. A close friend of mine is there, Professor Balakrishnan. He is a great researcher. He is Associate Director of Indian Institute of Science. So when I crossing his establishment, I must call him. I call him telephone. I said, I am going to Siddhaganga Institute of Technology. I am going there. They are celebrating Golden Jubilee, and I am going there. Then Professor Balakrishnan told me, oh, you are going for a seat. It's a great institution. Many students after their many students after their postgraduate at SIT, they come there in Indians of Science for research. I asked him, when the students, when they come for research from SIT, Siddhaganga Institute of Technology, what's the unique thing you found in the student? He told me, Professor Balakrishnan told me, Indians of Science, we found two great qualities in the SIT producers when the students come for research in Indians of Science. Number one, nobody can beat them, their hard work. They are hard workers. Day and night for research you need to work hard work. And my professor also, Balakrishnan also, there are 2 a.m. up to that he works there. Now second quality of SIT students when they go to research Indian science, they are men and women of character. The value system. The value system is the crown for all the research students who come from SIT, SIT. So you belong to that tradition. Indeed, you friends, you belong to the tradition. When you move, when you work, whatever profession you do, remember, you belong to very rare in the history that you will do this science and technology in an institution where a spiritual chief, where a endowment of spirituality is with you always at 106 years. What a great benefit you are all enjoying. So friends, you are all fortunate. You are really fortunate. I am indeed delighted to visit the Siddhaganga Institute of Technology, Tumkur, and to inaugurate the Golden Jubilee celebration of the Institute. My respects to Revered Dr. Sri Sri Sivakumara Swamiji for nurturing the institution with value system. I also greet when the student from SIT, when they walk in the street of Bangalore or any part of the country, you should radiate not only knowledge, you have to radiate purity of life. What will you radiate? What will you radiate? Purity of life you will radiate. That is the uniqueness. That is the uniqueness of all the students today you are assembled here. I also greet the pioneers, the director members, the faculty, staff, and students of this great institution. Established in the year 1963, with only 3 branches, the SIT is providing engineering education in 12 UG programs and an equal number of MTech programs. The vision of SIT, what is the vision of SIT? To develop young minds in a learning environment of a high academic ambience by synergizing the spiritual values and technological competence is indeed the need of the hour. Friends, on this occasion, or the Golden Jubilee of SIT, I would like to congratulate all of you and share few thoughts on the topic culture of excellence. What is the topic? Culture, that's the topic. Dear friends, when I see Dr. Sri Sri Sivakumara Swamiji with us, let me recall an event on the day of his 100th birthday was celebrated. At that time, I was the president. His Holiness Sri Sri Sivakumara Swamiji of Sri Siddhalanga Math of Tumkur is an example of spreading the message of giving. Message of giving. He has been on a tireless mission of socio-economic development and eradication of inequalities in education. That's why you are all in the rural environment, Tumkur side. He saw education and the alleviation of hunger among the masses as an effective means to enrich human capacity, which in turn would contribute to the national reconstruction. His Holiness Swamiji has followed the footprints of his Guru of providing free boarding home to the students, which is now serving the needs of over 8,000 students. In addition, 2,000 pilgrims and visitors in the month are also provided food every day. During the last 7 decades, Swamiji is the founder of the well over 125 educational institutions, ranging from nursery to institution of technology, pure science, arts, management, vocational training, and performing arts. During his 100th birthday of His Holiness, Sri Sri Shivakumar Swamiji, a message of giving came to my mind, celebrating his contribution, which I would like to share with you. The poem. I wrote a poem when Swamiji completed 100 years. On that day, I recited a poem. You want to hear? Message is radiating the message on giving. Radiating, you see him. He is radiating message on giving. Oh, my fellow citizens, you are all. In giving, you receive happiness. In body and soul. You have everything to give. If you have knowledge, share it. If you have resources, share it with the needy. Use your mind and heart to remove the pain of the suffering and cheer the sad hearts. In giving, you receive happiness. Almighty bless all of your action. This is the poem recited to celebrate on his 100th birthday. Now, friends, when I am SIT, good teaching emanates from research. Teachers' love for research and their experience research are vital for the growth of the institution. Any institution is judged by the level and the extent of the research work it accomplishes. This sets in regenerative cycle of excellence. Experience of research leads to quality teaching, and quality teaching imparted to the young in turn enriches the research. Technology is indeed a non-linear tool available to humanity, which can affect fundamental changes in the ground rules of economic competitiveness. Science is linked to technology through applications. Technology linked to economy and environment through manufacturing of knowledge products. Economy and environment are linked to the technology, which promotes prosperity to the societies. We have to use innovation to generate high value added products for becoming a global player. The foundation of academic research is excellence in action. Foundation of academic research is excellence in action. Now let us look at what is excellence, culture of excellence, because you have to become a product of a culture of excellence. Friends, you all belong to the youth community, which should stand for culture of excellence. Moreover, excellence is not by accident. It's a process where an individual continuously strives to better oneself. The performance standards set by yourself. You work on your dreams with focus and are prepared to take calculated risk, and you do not get deterred by failures. As you move towards your dreams, you step up the targets and try to reach the higher and higher. When you strive to work to realize your potential in the process, you will increase your performance. At all times, you are not in competition with anyone else, but your own self. That is the culture of excellence. I am sure SIT is being built with the technology focus based on the innovation and the excellence, which are crucial for research. Friends, I would like to share an experience how my professor, during my engineering education, made us to design a low-level attack aircraft. By this project, students acquired the experience of system design, system integration, and system management. Long ago, 1954-57, none of you were even idea forms, 1954-57. And there was a professor in Madras Institute of Technology. Finally, he was teaching aircraft design. He called 9 of us, 9 students of aeronautical engineering and different areas: propulsion, aerodynamics, structure, control, guidance, instrumentation, and system design. Called all of us, 9 of us. He said, friends, in 6-month project I am going to give all of you. And 6th month I need a design, preliminary design of low-level attack aircraft of Mach 1.5. And somehow he got hold of me. He said, you are the project leader. He asked me, Kalam is the project leader. We started working. In those days, we did not have the computer like in front of me. We had what's called funny thing, slide rule. It's in museum now, slide rule. That is our slide rule, log table. These are the 2 things for our calculations. We used that. We worked hard. But Madras has its own jobs. Suddenly, my team members would vanish on Saturday, Sunday, at the beach and so many things. And cinemas like that, they will push off in those days. And but still, I am the leader of the team. I have to take responsibility. Somehow, we managed to work with them. Exactly 5th month, my teachers, Professor Srinivasan, landed my laboratory, caught word of all of us, and reviewed the whole design, what we have done, 5 months. He said, hopeless output. Hopeless. When a professor gives hopeless output, you know what does it mean? you know what does it mean. I hope you don't have such tough professors. So he said, I am dissatisfied with the design and also type of drawings you guys have made, and only 1 month more you have to do, gear up, and a team leader, you fellow have to work hard, bring all your 8 fellows together, ensure a good design come out of this laboratory. Otherwise, he told me, fingered to me, you guy will lose your scholarship. Okay, he warned me. Scholarship, without scholarship, Madras Institute of Technology is very difficult to manage. I hope your SIT is not so hard. Okay, so we tried. Then we all get up, put your belt, tighten our belt. We worked hard, day and night. We worked many nights, sleepless nights. In a month's time, we arrived at a great design to our satisfaction. Our professor, when he was going to tennis on Sunday, he landed again in our laboratory. He sat with us for 2 hours, reviewed our design. He said, fantastic design you have done. Okay. And not only that, he took us to his house. He gave us a hot Madras coffee, he gave us. So we are very happy. But the issue is not that coffee or professor's certificate. That 6 months what we learned was system design, system integration, and system management. By designing a low-level attack aircraft, all the 9 of us were experienced on system design, system integration, system management, how to deploy multiple technology, how to use multiple technology to build a system. When you go to this campus SIT, every one of you will not be asked, you give me a mechanical system or electronic system or chemical system or a computer system. Everywhere you will find multiple technology system as you have to give us. Any industry will ask you a system, a product. So that's why it's very important, an institution like SIT and the student, postgraduate student and graduate students, it's essential to work on the multidiscipline and evolve a project so you are getting ready for the employability. then you become employability very high. So now friends, let us study convergence of technology and the linkage to science is reciprocating. Now another dimension going to take place, since you are all technology people, young fellows, what is called convergence of technology. Many technologies are converging. Hear me what I am saying. The information technology and communication technology have already converged, leading to information communication technology, ICT, which all you know. The information technology combined with the biotechnology has led to the bioinformatics. Similarly, photonics grown out from the laboratories to converge with classical electronics and microelectronics to bring in a new high-speed option in consumer products. Flexible and unbreakable displays using thin layer of film on transparent polymers have emerged as a new symbol of entertainment and media tools. Now, nanotechnology has come in. It is the field of the future that will replace according to me, will replace the microelectronics, many fields with a tremendous application potential in the areas of medicine, electronic material science. When nanotechnology and the ICT meet and an integrated silicon electronics, photonics are born, and it can be said that the material convergence will happen. With material convergence and biotechnology linked, a new science called intelligent bioscience will be born, which would lead to a disease-free, happy and more intelligent human habitat with longevity and high human capacities. Convergence of bio, nano, info technologies can lead to the development of nanorobots. When nanorobots are injected to a patient, my expert friends say, it will diagnose and deliver the treatment of exclusively in the affected area, and then the nanorobot get digested as it is a DNA-based product. I saw the product sample in one of the laboratories in South Korea, where best of minds with multiple technology work with the target of finding out the out-of-box solution. Now, friends, next few minutes, I am going to talk to you what's called science is reciprocating. It has got a link to convergence of technology. Let me give an example. Recently, I was in a Harvard University for lecture, where I visited laboratories in many eminent professors from the Harvard School of Engineering and Applied Science. I recall how Professor Hong-Kun Park showed me his invention of nanoneedles, which can pierce and deliver content with individual target biocells. This is how nanoparticle science is shaping the bioscience. Then I met Professor Vinod Manoharan of Harvard University, who showed me, on the other hand, biosciences are in turn shaping the nanomaterial science as well. He is using DNA material to design self-assembling particles. When particular type of DNA is applied to a particle at the atomic level, his professor is able to generate a prefixed behavior and automatic assembly from them. This could be our answer to self-assembly of devices and colonies in deep space without human intervention. Thus, remember what I am saying, thus within a single research building, I saw how two different sciences are shaping each other without any iron curtain between the technologies. This reciprocating contribution of sciences to one another is going to shape our future, and the industry needs to be ready for it. So you all had to be ready for this science reciprocating and convergence of technology. Now a new trend is emerging. The aspect being introduced, that of ecology globally. The demand are shifting towards development of a sustainable system which are technologically superior. This is the new dimension of 21st century knowledge society, where science, technology and environment will have to go together. Thus the new age model would be a four-dimensional bio, nano, info, eco based. I am sure the education system, in SIT is concentrating to build a curriculum which will emphasize the convergence of technology and remove the interdisciplinary barriers. From now let me describe, friends, when you finish SIT graduation, BTech or MTech or PhD, what type of India you are going to enter? All of you, after graduation, what type of India you are going to enter? I want to give you a profile of 2020. Another 7 years' time, how India can be shaped. I call it distinctive profile India by 2020. How it will look like? A nation where the rural and urban divide has reduced to a thin line. There are 600,000 villages. I am very happy Dr. Sri Sri Shivakumar Swamiji, most of his concentration is working in the rural area and capacity building the rural people so that they can have employment through education. So it is very important, a nation where the rural and urban divide is reduced to a thin line. A nation where there is equitable distribution and adequate access to energy and quality water. A nation where agriculture, industry, service sector work together in symphony. A nation where agriculture, industry and service sector work together in symphony. Now, friends, young fellows, you carefully hear me what I am saying. For the realization of above two mission, what is needed is the following mission, which I will like to share with you. I am going to give you a mission for all the young fellows who are assembled here. What is the mission? I was asking myself yesterday when I was traveling in the aircraft, what is the core competence of Karnataka? What is the core competence of Karnataka? The core competence of Karnataka, according to me, is a garden, a rainy forest, water, and above all, the people of Karnataka. Now, what Karnataka should be known for, based on the core competence, based on the people, what Karnataka should be known for, there should be one unique system. Bangalore has earned the reputation of doing its best in electronic industry and IT industry. But as a whole, Karnataka should be remembered for what? One unique thing. But as a whole, Karnataka should be remembered for one unique thing. What is that? I was thinking myself, a unique vision which will enrich the core competence and create a brand for Karnataka. You must create a brand for Karnataka. What is that? Suspense, what is that? That mission, because you are going to promise me that when you go to this campus and you will spend a lot of time in that mission to bring a brand to Karnataka. What is that? That means is to create all season smart waterway grid for Karnataka. To create an all season smart waterways grid for Karnataka. This all season Karnataka smart waterways grid will help store flood water and distribute to the needy region where there is a drought. I have been advocating smart waterways for all the states in the country at the MSL level, 250-meter height, where it connects the rivers and catchment level within the state. If each state like Karnataka creates a smart waterway grid, then it can not only store the flood water but can release the water to the water deficient region within the state and also other riparian states. It is cheaper, it can help navigation of heavy goods, equipment and people transportation at much cheaper cost, reduce the traffic congestion in the cities, also increase the power generation apart from feed the water for irrigation in all the sections. Hence, I suggest the Karnataka government, with its great youth of the state, to embark on the mission of creating all-season Karnataka smart waterways grid to bring peace and prosperity to the state. If you do so, nature, tourists, and the people of Karnataka and the nation will smile at you. Okay, I have given you a task. Okay, it is my website www.abdulkalam.com. The talk I am giving you, it is my website. I have given the details, and every young fellow and young girl can look at this one and send me question. My mail apj@abdulkalam.com. Now, fourth point, fourth pillar. A nation where education with value system is not denied to any meritorious candidate because of societal or economic discrimination. A fifth, a nation which is the best destination for the most talented scholars, scientists, and the investors. A nation where the best of healthcare is available to all. A nation where the governance is responsive, transparent, and corruption-free. A nation where poverty has been totally eradicated, illiteracy removed, and crimes against women and children are absent, and none in the society feels alienated. A nation that prosperous, healthy, secure, devoid of terrorism, peaceful, happy, and continues the sustainable growth path. A nation that's one of the best places to live in and is proud of its leadership. We have to be proud one day. Now, to achieve the distinct profile for India, we have the mission of transforming India into an economically developed nation. We have identified 5 areas where India has a core competence for integrated action: agriculture, food processing, reliable and quality electric power, surface transport, and infrastructure for all parts of the country, education and healthcare, information communication technology, and self-reliance in critical technologies. These 5 areas are closely interrelated and progress in a coordinated way, leading to food, economic, and national security. Dear friends, one of the key requirements towards achieving the distinct profile of India nation would be the creation of sustainable enterprise driven models at the rural level. One such system which I suggest is called PURA, providing urban amenities in the rural area. It is the creation of a physical, electronic, and knowledge connectivity leading to the economic connectivity of the rural region. With this combined and planned intervention of the infrastructure, a digital technology, information and enterprise, we can select a cluster of 20 to 50 villages which share the core competence and empower those using local enterprises. I would like to suggest here that Siddhaganga Institute of Technology, Tumkur, may like to pursue the implementation of one such Pura complex covering about 50 to 100 villages on the outskirts of Tumkur, utilizing the potential of the youth of this college. This Pura will be called Sitpura, which would empower the local villages in this region. This work on Pura will facilitate a faculty, student, intensive program in rural and societal transformation. Now friends, finally I would like to say, now let me discuss the linkages between national economic development and creative leadership. Economic development and creative leadership. A nation's economic development is powered by competitiveness. Competitiveness is powered by knowledge power. Knowledge power is powered by technology and innovation. Technology innovation is powered by resource investment. The resource investment is powered by return on investment. The return on investment is powered by revenue. The revenue is powered by volume and repeat sales. Volume and repeat sales is powered by customer loyalty. Customer loyalty is powered by quality and value of products. Quality and value of products is powered by employee productivity and innovation. And employee productivity is powered by employee loyalty. Employee loyalty is powered by employee satisfaction. Employee satisfaction powered by working environment. The working environment is powered by management innovation. Management innovation is powered by creative leadership. You saw economic development of the nation finally landed into the creative leadership. For success in all the mission, it is essential to have creative leaders. Creative leadership means exercising the vision to change the traditional role from the commander to coach, from manager to mentor, from director to delegator, from one who demands the respect to one who facilitates self-respect. For enhancing enterprise value, we need large number of creative leaders. The SIT has to create not only technologies but combined with the creative leadership. So friends, in conclusion, dear friends, when you are out of this campus, after completion of your graduation, you will be entering a new phase in your life, which will present many challenges, many opportunities. Equipped with knowledge now, with your hard work and sweat and strong determination, you can become a leader in the area that you have chosen. What is the one action which will make you the great? Every one of you has a page. Every one of you today, you are going to write a page in the history of India. What is that page? How do you make the page which is going to be referred by the posterity? Today, take a paper or sit in front of a computer and write one sentence. The answer to that sentence has to be give vision to your ambition. What is that vision? Yes, the vision of your life is the following. What I will be remembered for? You have to ask yourself. What I will be remembered for? If you find an answer for this question in a few lines and a few lines, that will be out-of-box idea will drive you for the rest of your life, and you can communicate with me, send a mail to me that what I will be remembered for, this is the page I have written. If good ideas you have written to me, I will correspond with you. Friends, with this, I am very happy to meet all of you and talk to you. And finally, can you take a oath or you are tired? You can take oath? You can take? You are not tired? Okay. Technology is a oath, okay? Technology is a lifetime mission. I will work and succeed. Wherever I am, a thought will always come to my mind. That is, what process or product I can innovate, invent or discover. I will always remember that let not my winged days be spent in vain. I realize I have to set a great technological goal that will lead me to think high, work and persevere and realize the goal. My greatest friends will be great scientific technological minds, great teachers, great books. I firmly believe no problem can defeat me. I will become the captain of the problem and defeat the problem and succeed. I will work for removing the problems faced by the planet Earth in the areas of water, energy, habitat, waste management and environment through the application of science and technology. I realize I am as young as my faith, as old as my doubt, as young as my self-confidence, as young as my fear, as young as my hope, as old as my despair. I will develop faith, self-confidence and hope. My national flag, my national flag flies in my heart, and I'll bring glory to my nation. Thank you, young friends. You are all great guys. Wish you all the best. I am going to give Principal sir. This is for your library. No, let him speak.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for igniting our minds, the importance of reciprocal contribution of different branches of science for the global betterment. Let purity of mind be the uniqueness of all. I now request His Holiness Dr. Shri Shri Shivakumar Swamiji to felicitate Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Dr. Kalam has great faith in human potential. To him, nation is bigger than the individual. He has articulated the vision of India. He is a living legend of honesty, spirituality, compassion, moral values, patriotism, wisdom, success, determination. I request everybody to stand and give a standing ovation to Kalamji. The influence of each human being on others in this life is a kind of immortality. Such is the influence of Kalam sir on every citizen of India. Padma Vibhushan, Justice M.N. Venkatachalaya, is known for his contributions to the promotion and protection of human rights. He is the patron of Judicial Foundation. Even today, every working moment of his is filled with passion, a keen pursuit of improvement and perfection. Sir, I request you to deliver presidential address. Justice M.N. Venkatachalaya.
It is just foolishness on anyone's part to try to speak after Abdul Kalam has spoken. Revered Swamiji, Sri Siddhalinga Swamiji, esteemed former President Dr. Abdul Kalam, professors, students, respected invitees, ladies and gentlemen. I used to go to the Himalayas every year seeking company of saints, yogis, and philosophers. My wife once told me, the greatest yogi and the greatest saint is just close by in Tumkur. Why don't you go there? For sheerest impersonal love for mankind and as the personification of human compassion, we have Sri Swamiji, Shivakumar Swamiji here. When Professor Channabasappa asked me, before he invited me to be here today, before he could withdraw the invitation, I grasped it. I told him, it will be my privilege to be here. There is yet another thing. Abdul Kalam Sahab, I've had the privilege of knowing him for over 20 years. He is another great saint of this country. You have just now heard the most inspiring speech that any young man in any part of the world could expect to be treated to. He gave you, in a nutshell, our civilizational problems and hope as the greatest solution, technology, knowledge and science as the most liberating factors of human existence. I want to tell you something about Abdul Kalam Sahab himself. If I had asked his permission, he would have refused. Therefore, I mustered the courage to mention something. I was asked to release a book written on him by no other than his own private secretary, a senior IAS officer. He asked me to release that book in Delhi. Of course, I was very happy to do that. In that book, Mr. Nair has referred to a small incident, though small in itself, will tell us who Abdul Kalam Sahab is. Usually, on the 15th of August every year, the President holds a party to all the dignitaries of the country. I've attended a few of them, and on that particular occasion, it was terribly raining for 3 days before the 15th of August. It was pouring cats and dogs. And the meteorological department said that it would continue for another 3 more days, and you can't hold, this party is held in the open, in the Mughal gardens of the Rashtrapati Bhavan. That's one of the most beautiful places in the world. And generally the arrangements are carried out by the military. And the military people put their heads together and wanted to know how they could still hold the party. So some military brain suggested that they should muster 2,000 umbrellas for the function, so that people can stand in the shade of the umbrellas and participate in the party. And Nair gently went to the President and told him, "Sir, that the meteorological department has told us that this rain will remain unabated for 3 more days, and we propose to garner 2,000 umbrellas for the purpose." In his own quiet way, President Saab told him, "I have spoken to somebody at the top, and the rain would stop for 2 hours. And Nair didn't believe it. Shall I believe Abdul Kalam Sahab or the meteorological department? Kalam Sahab said, "I have spoken to somebody up, and he has promised that you will have 2 hours of respite." And lo and behold, that day rain stopped promptly at 4:15, resumed with a renewed vigor at 6:30. In the meanwhile, the party was over. That is Kalam Sahab for you. He is perhaps one of our greatest national assets, and perhaps one of the finest human beings ever occupied that exalted place as the President of India. The first time a great saint, a scholar, a philosopher, a nationalist and a humanist, all rolled into one, he became our President. And I do hope, we in India will deserve Abdul Kalam Sahab, because we see a terrible amount of crudeness in our social and public life today. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going through perhaps one of the most difficult periods of Indian history. Yes, feudal society, with its own rigors and values of its own, has broken down, fortunately. And a feudal society is grimly struggling to be reborn into a modern, egalitarian, industrial society. Whenever such transformations have occurred in any country, there's so much of violence and volatility. There is, in China, it was called the Cultural Revolution. We have on record that 50 million people died during the course of the Cultural Revolution in China. And don't underestimate the forces that are unleashed. It is a manthan in which the first output, as we saw in the Samudra Manthan, the poison that comes out, the hala that comes out before the Amrit comes out. And we are in the process of that churning, and a great amount of destabilization of established institutions or values occur. And when such things happen, it is unreasonable to be disappointed with the behavior of men and institutions. It will take 15 to 20 years for us to resettle. Don't lose hope. It is a process, and it is good that it has commenced, because people couldn't, our 1,200 million people couldn't live under the oppression of a feudal society forever. This liberation has its own price to pay. We must be willing to pay that price, particularly the youth of the country. 53% of India's population, India's demographic profile, consists of people below 25 years. That's why whenever Abdul Kalam Sahab stands up to speak, the youth get intoxicated. I always used to say that Kalam Sahab is the greatest intoxicant for the youth in this country. And this intoxication is God intoxication. A kind of, this is the highest religion. Highest religion is service to fellow men. And this is perhaps the highest service that you could do, is to make us rational, take things with hope, and handle the forces of change with imagination, with a constructive, positive thinking. This century, 21st century, will be the most explosive and stunning century in terms of science and technology. Somebody said, if 20th century was 100 years of science, 21st century will be 20,000 years of science. The growth of science and explosion of technology will be 200 times. That is, 200 into 100 will be 20,000. And it will be 200 times the development that we saw in the 20th century. It's very difficult to absorb the consequences. Combined with it, we have globalization, the intermixture of cultures which are incompatible with each other. The free market economy can produce a great amount of wealth, but it can produce also great amount of inequality. And in the scale of 1 to 10 in the globalization, we have not even reached this stage 2. We have yet 8 stages to go up. And you must know what kind of forces that are unleashed when the free market economy has a free play. This is a very difficult thing, but a necessary thing. And the third is, when a new source of energy is introduced into the economy, great volatility occurs, particularly when there is a demographic explosion. Since we became free in 1947 till today, we have almost added 1 billion people into India's population, nearly 1 billion people. Nowhere in history such changes we have seen. And a feudal society couldn't bear the burden of this kind of transformation. That's why we see so much of cynicism, so much of hopelessness, so much of violence in society. This is nothing compared to what we saw in other countries. And this is because this kind of restraint and the process otherwise violent is because of the blessings of Swamijis like Sri Shivakumar Swamiji. The kind of social service that he has done, the kind of concern that comes out of an impersonal love for mankind. And in a place where there were so many backward students aspiring for advancement of their career, he started an institution just for the love of people. It's not like the commercial ventures that we see today. And the greatest philosophy is the greatest service to the poor. Vivekananda said, "My God is my God the poor, my God the wicked, my God the wretched." The gods that Vivekananda put before us was the poor, the wretched and the wicked. That is humanity. And this is something which is extraordinary. And technology today, 21st century, just now we had a glimpse of the great integration of knowledge. 2,500 years ago, a great philosopher, Thales of Miletus, he said, if you study subjects insularly, watertight compartments of psychology, physics, mathematics, chemistry, you build knowledge, you won't build ability. Unless these subjects, these sources of knowledge, streams of knowledge converge, and unless they converge, you don't build ability, you build knowledge. Science is knowledge, technology is ability. How to convert science into the service of mankind is through technology. Today, President Kalam Saab gave you a simple solution how you should approach this subject. I am so inspired by his talk. I think it's one of the finest speeches I have ever heard on issues concerning human advancement. For example, you see, we have problems in agriculture today. India has arable land which is less than the arable land in China. China is a larger area of territory, but its agricultural arable land is less than India's. They produce 510 million tons of food and consume all of that. We produce 260 million tons of food. 90 million tons of it are wasted in storage to rodents and other destructive processes. 90 million tons of food is equivalent to the nutritional requirement of 500 million people. And what is important is post-harvest technologies to preserve food and add value to it, value addition at the production stage, and thereby we can mitigate suffering of people, starvation of people in a great measure. I think agricultural scientists are struggling to find out ways. We don't have warehouses, cold storages, we don't have technology in the villages to develop it. This is something which is perhaps the most important thing. And lastly, I must say that a human being today, a Christian writer once wrote that first man was born 4,004 years ago, 4004 BC. That means 7,000 years, 6,000 years ago. The Christian author wrote, he also told us the date of birth of Adam, the first man. That was on a Friday, 9 o'clock in the morning, in the month of April or so, in 4004 BC. Somebody said man was in existence for thousands of millions of years. He has evolved. But it is not a historical prediction, it was an allegorical statement. The new human being, the Homo sapien that emerged on the earth, was totally different from his ancestor, the Neanderthal man. 40,000 years ago, the genetic man was the same genetic composition as the present day human being, the Homo sapien. And Tattersall, who was the curator of the American Natural History Museum, wrote a beautiful piece saying, this allegoric statement says how 6,000 years ago the civilized man, the Homo sapien, shaped himself. 40,000 years ago, man had the same genetic composition. And between a fish and are a smaller animal and a human being, the difference is only a handful of genomes, the handful of genetic material. But the difference is so much. And today, this is a new civilization. And I want to ask our young people, have you ever traveled in a spaceship? A spaceship that rockets around the sun. Everybody says it's a foolish idea to suggest a student of Siddhaganga Institute of Technology to say that he has to be asked a question whether he is in a spaceship. A spaceship is a small shuttle that takes you all around the space at a great speed. But I'll tell you a spaceship which has sunshine in it, which has rain in it, food grown in the shuttle itself, and that is the planet Earth. It moves around the sun at 1,000 miles an hour, and 1,000 miles an hour it moves around. We are all on the ship in the spaceship, and our captain is Abdul Kalam Saab. We have rain. We grow our own food in this spaceship. And as it turns around this sun at 1,000 miles an hour, it also revolves around itself every 24 hours. If the speed is a little more, seasons become oftener. Speed is a little less, season becomes longer. And if it doesn't rotate on a bend at 23 degrees on itself, night and days would be different. And this beautiful spaceship we are in, and we are fighting for possession of land inside this spaceship, which is something unimaginable. We are all passengers, we eat the same food, we live the same life, we are brothers and traveling in a spaceship. Nobody fights in a spaceship for any right of his own. It's an exciting human adventure. And this excitement of an idea that we belong, we have one of the most beautiful experiences in the universe. We sit in it, move around, see the moon, sunrise, sunset. If the sunrise happens once in 1,000 years, you'll get 1,000 rupees ticket to buy and watch it. It happens every day. If that sense of wonderment is the beginning of invention, Vismayoho Yoga Bhumikaha, that is the foundation for every kind of research or imagination that you could start with. And this is a country where this transformation, which would have been violent and witnessed with bloodbath and human sacrifice, human lives, will perhaps, hopefully, be less violent than other countries have seen. And that is because of the saints that have taken the task of alleviation of human predicament, like the Swamiji today. These institutions which run education, impart modern science, you must develop a scientific temper, you must look at things. For example, whenever I go to an Australian university, I find either the Vice Chancellor or the Professor, fellow of the Royal Society. There are 168 fellows of the Royal Society in Canada, in Australia. We are 250 times Australia's population. We have just 10 of them. I hope, and it's my prayerful wish, that some of our bright students here in the Siddhaganga Institute of Technology will someday become fellows of the Royal Society. And you have, imagine 250 times the population of Australia. Instead of 168 there, we have just 10 of them. And this is a challenge for education, challenge for integration, for convergence, nanotechnology, biotechnology, various things. In fact, the effort is in the material sciences. You want to create things which is 1 pound in weight will take 100 pounds of weight itself. That's the quality of material they are trying to build for spaceships, aircrafts, and various other things. And science, today, on account of political behavior of many of our leaders, we have developed a sense of pessimism. We have begun to worship doubt. We have surrendered to agnosticism. And this spirit can be dispelled only by a few addresses by men like Abdul Kalam who can re-inspire our youngsters to achieve what is possible in their potential. Thank you. Thank you very much for your patience and courtesy. I'm grateful to you.
Thank you, sir. With all the development in science and technology, it's the complete harmony of thought, word, and deed which will make us stand unique amongst others. I now request His Holiness to bless and felicitate Justice M.N. Venkatachalaya. The source of all bliss is the dedicated performance of duty. Truth, honesty, integrity, dedication, simplicity, courage, commitment, endurance has been the attitude of Honorable Justice M.N. Venkatachalaya. He discovers his joy in the precision and perfection of the work that he turns out every day. I now request His Holiness Shri Shivkumar Mahaswamiji to launch SIT Alumni Association website. SIT Alumni Association website is being launched today, which is a pride of alumni of SIT. The website is launched by His Holiness. I now humbly request His Holiness to bless us with his Ashirvachana.
Dr. Kalamji, respected Justice Venkatachalaya, 8 members of the Board of Management SES, Giants public who have supported singers to technology, faculty and staff SIT, dear students of SIT, representatives of press and media, committees, ladies and gentlemen. I am very happy to participate in the inauguration of the Golden Jubilee of Singer Institute of Technology. The progress made by the Institute in the last 50 years is quite impressive. In fact, the attracting students from various parts of the country is an indication of the quality of education that the Institute is able to provide. I am sure that the faculty and staff of SIT are aware of the main competition prevailing in all sectors, education no exemption. TSF SIT, committed as their profession, will certainly pay attention to innovate, research, and guide students to become good problem solvers. This approach will also result in students getting better opportunities for placement, which is crucial for sustained growth of the Institute. It's a great duty for our students that the Golden Jubilee of the Institute is inaugurated by Dr. Abdul Kalamji, an eminent engineer and great patriot. It is also significant that the program is presided by Justice Venkatachalaya, an erudite scholar who is known for his legal acumen. It is a great occasion to get motivated to work with commitment, keeping in view with the country. We are the largest democracy in the world. Even after 66 years of independence, we are facing many problems. The fact is, events happen such a way that the rich are becoming richer and the poor are becoming poorer. Vision 2020, a great concept Dr. Kalamji had addressed about vibrant youth below the age of 15 and 17 and inspired them to become active participants of India Vision 2020. The motivated progress should be adopt a happy life which keeps them away from all undesirable activities, but do not have many rule nations to follow. Bhagavad Gita states that whatever leader does, the followers for will do see that body of the judge. Thus, if leaders are good, the followers will also be good. If the leaders are bad, the followers will become bad. So, cleaning can be the solution. But we are now in such a situation that at such a time the change will be nullified by vested interests and their money backs. The democratic shift is elections are expected to bring the change, but they educate if the elections are get initiated. Perhaps a motivated strong youth power actively participating in elections can hope to bring the change. Enlightened Buddha was Buddha way, back in 10th century BC, identified craving and greed of man responsible for the strife and happiness shared among men and variation. Craving is the ultimate measure which will destroy both the lecture and the banquet. Greed will result in the accumulation of wealth in a few hands, which will drive basic needs of the country. Basavanna, 12th century AD, social reformer of Karnataka, has given the golden name of Kayaka. And Dasoha, for the well-being of the society, everyone should work out of the earnings, which are usually part of your temple living, doing the rest for the good of the whole society. It will let no wealth and please. The Karmana Pujadhana, Kayanakimati Marsu, not by rituals, not by raising family, not by money, only by sacrifice. Giving away one attains immortality. I pray God Almighty to bless society and devise my pure Shivam Boya.
Blessed are we receiving the benediction by His Holiness. He has blessed us to work with motivation and commitment towards the progress of our country. Our humble pranamas at the lotus feet of His Holiness. I request our Honorable Director to do the pranamas. I have few happy announcements to make our alumnus. YSVK Vasudev Rao, Chairman Narayan Power Company, Bangalore, is donating rupees 5 lakhs to the institution. He would like to hand over the checks to the Swamiji, and he has already donated 10 lakhs to the institution before.
Earlier he has donated 10 lakhs, now he is donating 5 lakhs to the institute.
Blessings by His Holiness. Before we end, I would like to tell you that the lunch is being served here only in the premises. We would like all of you to join us for the lunch. And again, gather at 4 o'clock for expression of gratitudes to our benefactors. And soon after the vote of thanks, I would request all of you to stand up for the national anthem. His Holiness Abdul Kalam Ji and Honorable Justice, this is a promise from all of us here. We shall keep the lamp of knowledge burning to achieve our vision, that is the developed India. I request right now to be seated for the oath of thanks. Oath of thanks by our beloved Principal, Dr. Shiv Kumaraya.
Good afternoon to all of you. At the outset, I submit my most reverential pranamas at the holy feet of Dr. Sri Sri Shivakumara Swamiji and Sri Sri Siddhalinga Swamiji. Respected Dr. Abdul Kalam Ji, respected Justice Venkatachalaya Ji, Sri T.K. Nanjundappa, Secretary, Sri Siddhalinga Education Society, Dr. M.N. Chanbasappa, Director, life members and members of Board of Management of Sri Siddhalinga Education Society, members of the Governing Council and Academic Council of SIT, our most valued invitees and media friends, our benefactors, employees of our students, Sri Panaraj, and R.K. Prasad, officials of various district offices, municipal offices, my dear students and my esteemed colleagues. It is my privilege to propose vote of thanks on this memorable and joyous occasion of inauguration of Golden Jubilee celebrations of SIT. His Holiness Dr. Sri Sri Shivakumar Swamiji is kind enough to take time out of his busy schedule to grace this joyous occasion and bless all of us. On behalf of all of us, I extend the most reverential vote of thanks to His Holiness Dr. Sri Sri Shivakumara Swamiji. His Holiness Sri Sri Siddhalinga Swamiji is also busy in giving helping hand to his Guruji in running the mammoth institution, Sri Siddhaganga Gurukula. Despite his busy schedule, Swamiji has graced this occasion. On behalf of all of us, I extend Sri Sri Siddhalinga Swamiji the most devotional vote of thanks. Amidst us, we have another highly revered saint without saffron robes, and he is our Bharat Ratna Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam ji. Dr. Abdul Kalam ji has kept the audience spellbound by his lively speech. On behalf of Sri Siddhaganga Education Society, faculty, staff and students of SIT and the entire audience, I extend a very hearty vote of thanks to highly revered, visionary and great son of India, Dr. Kalamji, who has inaugurated the Golden Jubilee celebrations of SIT and set the tone for celebrations through his vibrant and insightful inaugural address. We are all inspired by your great words, sir. We will implement your mission Pura with the blessings of our Swamiji. Respected Justice M.N. Venkatachalaya ji, former Chief Justice of Supreme Court of India, is a beacon of judicial wisdom and integrity. He is an embodiment of simple living and high thinking. He has presided over this joyous function and delivered the presidential address. On behalf of all of us present here, I extend a very heartfelt vote of thanks to respected Justice M.N. Venkatachalaya ji. I take this opportunity to place on record our heartfelt thanks to Sri T.K. Nanjundappa, Secretary Sri Siddhaganga Education Society, for logistic support and guidance he has extended to us in organizing this function. It requires meticulous planning and a bird eye for details for arranging this mega function. We are fortunate enough to have the guidance of Dr. M.N. Channabasappa, our respected director, in organizing this function, and I extend our sincere gratitude to you, sir. It gives me immense pleasure in extending our sincere thanks to the life members and members of Board of Management of Sri Siddhaganga Education Society, distinguished governing and academic council members of SIT, our benefactors, employers of our students. We have E.S. Chakravarti, Tata Consultancy, Bangalore head is on the dais. I extend him also a heartfelt vote of thanks. I extend heartfelt vote of thanks to our valued invitees, alumni, my faculty members, staff of SIT and staff of SIT group of hostels, and my dear students also. Now I extend a very heartfelt thanks to Sri Panraju, scientist and also special officer to Kalamji, and I request Swamiji to honor Panaraj. I extend a very hearty vote of thanks to R.K. Prasad, Personal Secretary to Abdul Kalam ji. Whenever we send invitations for press meet, our friends from electronic and print media attend the meet with full quorum and give a wide coverage about our institute and our accomplishments. I acknowledge this gesture of our friends from electronic and print media with a sense of gratitude, and I extend our heartfelt thanks to all our friends present here. Now, before I close my word of thanks, I have an announcement. We have a strong 30,000 alumni spread all over the globe in 24 countries. Our alumni are holding Golden Jubilee Global Alumni Meet on 28th February, 1st, 2nd March of 2014. I appeal to all of you to attend this Global Alumni Meet. I extend a heartfelt vote of thanks to Dr. M.R. Ulinaikar, MLC. Thank you all once again.
I now request all of you to stand for national anthem.
Hello.
जनगणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Lunch is arranged for all the students, parents and our colleagues in this Pendal Hall at 1:45 p.m. Now for invitees, we have arranged the lunch in the stadium inside. I request all of you to take lunch.